You're watching Sky News. Our top stories this hour. There are unconfirmed reports that more than 50 people have been killed by a cyclone in the South Pacific, but aid agencies say the real number is likely to be much higher. CCTV images have been released of the 3 men wanted in connection with the gang rape of an elderly nun in India. And the Chancellor hints at making changes to pensions and inheritance tax laws in this week's forthcoming budget. Well, joining us now to talk more about that in detail are Tom McPhail, Head of Pensions Research for Hargreaves Lansdown, who's in Bristol, and in our Westminster studios, Sam Bowman, Deputy Director at the Adam Smith Institute. Sam, if I can come to you first, what do you make of this that the Chancellor's had to say?
I think it's good news. It's not really a surprise. All this really means is extending the freedoms that were granted last year to people entering retirement to people who already are there. It's a good thing. I'm not sure how many people will actually take advantage of it because the cost of selling on an annuity seems to be quite high, about 20% of the annuity. So whether or not this actually makes a huge difference in people's lives, I'm not sure, but it's certainly a good step.
Tom McPhail, a great thing, a good thing for people. I hear you're less praising of this move.
Well, the pension freedoms have proved extremely popular. A lot of investors are looking forward to being able to take advantage of them from next month. But existing pensioners, people who've already bought an annuity, are excluded from these new freedoms, and politically it's going to play well to try and extend those freedoms to these existing annuity holders. Some 5 million or so people who bought an annuity in the past who are being denied the freedom to cash that pot in. So the Chancellor is saying, look, I'm going to bring you in and give you a chance to sell on that annuity pot, and that will be popular, but there are significant complexities involved in trying to get this scheme off the ground. There are risks to investors of perhaps not their annuity pot, and at the end of it, what we're going to get from the Chancellor this week is a consultation to explore how this could be done. It wouldn't start until 2016 at the earliest, and there's quite a lot of detail to work through first.
Adam Smith, what do you make of this worry, that this scenario that's been talked about endlessly about pensioners blowing their end-of-life savings if they're given the chance? The Chancellor doesn't seem to think that might happen. What's your view?
I think it's pretty unlikely. I mean, we're talking about people who have saved for their whole lives. They've spent their whole lives budgeting and managing their own family's budgets. I think it's a little bit unrealistic to expect that they're then going to blow all that money on a Ferrari. But it does mean that people have different approaches to their retirement. Some people, an annuity is right for some people, but sometimes it's not. And having that flexibility could make a big difference to people who, for example, might want to draw down a lot of their savings at the beginning of their retirement, say to invest it somehow or something like that. And giving them that option, I think, is a good thing. What we do need to bear in mind is that pension tax relief may need to be reformed if this is going to happen, because if we decide not to tax the drawdowns in the way that we currently tax pensions, then we're going to need to change the pensions tax relief system as people pay into their pension.
Tom McPhail, we need to look at our tax reform legislation and reform it?
I certainly think it's premature to leap to that conclusion. We've got some huge changes going through already. Of course, there's the auto-enrolment programme with people being brought into workplace pensions, and that's still in train. We've got these new freedoms and these new plans for these new freedoms to be extended further from 2016. So we're really not sure yet how all those are going to work and how people are going to use the new freedoms and how many people are going to cash their pots in, how many are going to use drawdown, how many are going to buy an annuity. I think it's absolutely critical that we just have a period of calm and wait and see how all these changes play through and reach a period of stability before we even think about changing the tax relief system as well.
Tom, let's look at the other major about this, that pensioners freed of the need to purchase an annuity might decide to put their lump sums into property as well, which could further complicate the already very precarious housing market that we have. What's your view on that?
We've looked into that question, and a percentage of pensioners who've expressed interest in these freedoms have said they might look to invest in property, but it's a fairly small percentage. Around 14 or 15% have expressed an interest, but you need quite a big sum of money to do that, and if you're going to take a big sum of money out of your pension pot, you're going to get hit by quite a substantial tax charge. So I think possibly that fear has been slightly overstated. We will see some people cashing in their pots, mainly those with smaller pension pots, and some people will take money out to invest in property. I suspect not as many as have been suggested elsewhere. At the end of the day, we're going to have to wait and see how this plays out from April and see how people choose to use the freedoms. But I do think still pension investors tend to be quite conservative. I think a lot of people will still buy an annuity in retirement because it gives them the security of income for the rest of their lives.
Adam Smith, if I can just hit you with another worry that's cropped up. People who are at retirement age are normally top of the list when it comes to being targeted by con artists. Are we likely to see, knowing that people have come into a lot of money and are able to access that, the rise of that kind of fraud?
Well, that's always a danger, and I think in general it's very important that any pensioner who is thinking about selling on their annuity, or indeed not getting an annuity in the first place, should have access to lots of information and very clear guidelines from the government about where they can invest their money safely and so on. I don't know if con artists are going to make a huge amount of money from this, because the industry is already big and the industry has an incentive to tell people what's going on and to inform people about the dangers of this already. But it is very important that the market is competitive so that people do have access.
And apologies to you, Sam Bowman. I've been calling you Adam Smith, but you are, of course,
it's a compliment.
You are at the Adam Smith Institute. Apologies for that. Tom, if I can talk to you once again about this concern that we have in society about people in their advanced years ending up not just being the bank of mum and dad, but the bank of granny and grandpa. Is that something that we should worry about with this new move?
Well, I think there are a lot of challenges in all of this. You've touched on the fraud issue, which is a cause for concern, that we will see people getting targeted by fraudsters. And indeed, yes, that they're going to have to manage this retirement pot of money. They might be looking to help their children, their kids trying to get on the housing market. They might be having to help their parents in their later years. They're going to have to use their pension pot to provide for themselves in their later years, perhaps to meet care costs, which can be hugely expensive at the very end of your life. So there's a lot of planning that needs to be done around all of this, and of course, therefore, the message to investors is you've got these freedoms, but you need to explore all your options and make sure you're making measured and considered decisions about how you're going to use this pot of money for the rest of your life. It's going to have to last for decades. Don't rush into decisions.
More questions than perhaps answers. Tom McPhail and Sam Bowman, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Now, end-of-life care should be free to everyone. That's according to a new report by MPs, which concludes that no one should be forced to die in a hospital if that's not what they want. Tom Parmenter reports.
Morning, Vera. Morning. We give you a little hands and face wash to freshen up this morning, eh?
Vera Clark is now 87 and in good hands.
Do your face first.
She worked long hours to raise her children. Now her lung and heart problems mean she's slowing up.
I haven't been a good son all the time. I've been cheeky. I've been cheeky to her